you're back with Mr. Canada, and today we're going to look at two-step rearrangements where we simplify first. So these are ones where we have brackets. That's kind of the hint, simplify, and then make x the subject. They could be said that sometimes. So in order to solve equations, we must simplify. So how do we do that? Well, same thing we normally would do, right? We haven't changed. This is just bracket expansion, so we're just going 2 times y, so we get 2y, and then we do 2 times x, so we get 2x. That's going to be equal to 4. So now we have something we can actually work with that we've seen before. We want to make x a subject. So here, we're just going to leave this x on the left, so we have to subtract this 2y, subtract 2y. Then we're going to be left with 2x equals 4 minus 2y. I'm going to write this just up here because I've run out of room. If you ever have to do that, make sure you rewrite whatever you had on your last line, and that way your reader knows, okay, I kind of went over it. If you are really, concerned, you can kind of do like that. So here, we have to divide by 2, so we divide our other side by 2. Sorry about that. And then you can write x equals, well, 4 divided by 2 is 2, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so 2 minus y. Here we have make y the subject for 6q bracket 1 plus 3y bracket equals 8p. Whew, looks scary. It's not. So 6q times 1 is 6q. 6q times 3y is, well, 6 times 3 is 18, and then just qy. And that will be equal to 8p. So now, what do we have to do? We have to subtract off this 6q here, so we subtract off 6q. Then we'll be left on the right or the left side with 18qy equals 8p minus 6q. So then I'm going to just add on. I'm just going to try and squish it in what I have to still do. So I'm dividing by 18q on each side. So that will leave me with y equals 8p minus 6q over 18q. So you could write that a little bit nicer, but I think I might just leave that for now, because you could bring that q up into the denominator for the one, but it'd leave a fraction for the other. It all depends what they actually ask you out of the problem. Last one will look like for this one is the most challenging one we'll do so far. So once again, just expand the brackets. 8x cubed equals 4x times by 2xz plus 4x times by 3y squared. So I actually wrote them out just so you can see how I've been doing the others in case you kind of missed out. So 8x cubed equals, well, 4 times 2 is 8, x times x is x squared, z plus 4 times 3 is 12, xy squared. We're trying to solve for our z, so we want to look at this side, right? And we have to subtract off this 12xy squared. So minus 12xy squared. So here we have 8x cubed minus 2xy squared equals 8x squared z. Now, I just noticed something right now, that all my terms have an x in them. So, what I'm going to do right now, just because it can make it writing easier, writing one last thing, is I'm just going to actually change that. And then, I also notice that there's I can divide everything by 2 here. So I'm going to divide my entire expression by 2. Just so I can write it a little bit easier. Sometimes it can actually save a couple steps too. So here, you don't have to do it. You could have just kept following the same way. But I want to show little tricks to everybody so they can hopefully take little shortcuts to their maths eventually. So there, I've just written down what we were left with. So here we're still trying to get z by itself. So our last step, we divide by this 4x. So divide by 4x, divide by 4x. and we'd be left with simply x minus 3 over 2 y squared x to the minus 1 equals z. So I could have left it divided by x. I chose to write it just with a negative notation, just to kind of show you why we learned to do that, just because it looks a little bit more clean.